was first nominated, one of the first things I did was have access to Moroccan culture through francophone literature. I'm not an arabophone, I'm an anglophone, but I can access it. So I focused on Moroccan authors who were writing in French. And so, of course, I came across the classics straight away. I read both of them before I came out, and they're classics. And of course, I came across a very good translation of this. And for an Australian, that was very important. And then once I got here, though, I started understanding how much richer, how many more authors there were than just these classics. And so, some of my favourites, I really did enjoy this one. Because it shares visions of what Morocco really is. What I've really enjoyed about all of these is the insights they give me to the country, to the cities. Whether it's this one in Safi and La Marche Verte that happens in it, whether it's Le Jardin des Fleurs, which is in Marrakesh. All of them have a real richness of that society. Because I've visited so many cities around Morocco. Yes, that's a very good question. I haven't got the work in front of me though. One of the foreigners who wrote about Morocco was a guy called Paul Bowles, and this is one of the two works. This one's set in Fez. The other work is Under the Sheltering Sky, and that for me it was very much like these two. Because I'd read these first, and then I read the Paul Bowles Sheltering Sky, and it just struck me how there were so many similarities in what they were capturing. What struck the eye of Shukri and Shraibi also struck the eye of Paul Bowles. He's the only one Paul Bowles is the only author I've read, a foreign author writing about Morocco. I haven't read any other ones, so I can't really compare. But talking about Australian authors, what I like about my own personal tastes in Australian authors, typically women, are that they also talk about, and they try and capture the Australian landscape. It's something very different, and it's so difficult it's so challenging to capture. And so when I'm reading any of these books, what's really struck me, especially with the more literary ones, is how rich and how you can just see it, how you can just feel yourself a part of that landscape. You also mentioned about film. Quickly about film. Yeah. My two favourite filmmakers are Nabil Ayouch. Well, you won't be surprised about that. His second last film, Haut et Fort. Again, I love that because it shows me what Casablanca looks like, and similar themes. It's the challenges in that society. And what I loved, one of his earlier works was, and I'd recommend this to all of your viewers and readers, is Whatever Lola Wants. Whatever Lola Wants. He did it in 2006. It's a wonderful film. Of course, talking about those people, we have Miriam Touzani, who just released last year to great acclaim, or the year before, Le Bleu du Caftan. Again, looking at that, it's set in the Saleh Medina, and you're just really thrown right into the depths of that, or her earlier work, Adam. And then, of course, I've already mentioned Hisham Lasri, but he's also a big filmmaker, and I love his films. And the reason I wanted to make sure we talked about film, it's important to remember that last year, the Mother of All Lies by Asma Al-Mudir, her film won the Sydney Film Festival in Australia in 2023. She won the film festival here in Marrakesh, and she won in Cannes as well. But just to give you a sense that her film was recognised in Australia as well. So there's a lot of interest. I'm sure Hisham's films, or Nabil Ayouch's films, or Mariam Touzani's films, they'd have a great interest in Australia. That's a really good question too. One of the biggest highlights for me over these last 3 or 4 years is working with Safa in bringing some First Nations works here. We had the first exhibition of women's textiles at Abla Ababous. She very kindly hosted that for 2 or 3 weeks. It was some textiles called Jara Chara. And then just a few weeks ago, we worked with the Fondation Nationale des Musées at the Musée de la Photographie here in Rabat. And we had some wonderful photos, 32 or 34 photographs, large 110 by 70 centimetres of First Nations photographer called Naomi Hobson. They were two very impressive ones. And with Naomi, Miriam Hamish in her gallery in Casablanca, she very kindly hosted a meet the artist, and so she united 20 or 30 of her artists to come and meet and have a share that experience with Naomi. When it comes to complete Moroccan immersion experience, you can't go past the medinas in either Fez or Marrakesh. of course, that's very different experiences. I was thinking about this question before our meeting, and that's where you are really thrown into all of the colours and the chaleur humaine, the human warmth, everything that Morocco has to offer. It's true there in the Medina. I tell my new deputy, I said, you've got to get to Fez as the first Medina to really understand what a Medina.
Beautifully chaos.
That's exactly right. You've got the people everywhere. You've got the food, you've got the smells, you've got the colour, but it's the busyness because those Al Hasima, Nador, Taza. Well, as I mentioned, those two Medinas are so overwhelming to a foreigner in the first instance. So you get off a plane in Marrakesh and you go to the Medina, and you're not expecting anything else. But I also think going around into some of the villages in the regions where you're seeing all of those mud brick houses and things like that, where the kasbahs. I'm thinking of eight Ben Hadou. We talked about Ouarzazate, for example, before. When you see that and you want to stay in villages like that, or you stay at guest houses, or you stay in the riads, that's the real experience. You can stay at one of the commercial hotels, one of the chains, but the real experience is staying in a riad. We have a partnership with Tibo Africa, which uses sport as a vector to create empowerment and economic development for some young people. And so they've got a conference this Thursday that I'm going up to, marking International Day of the Girl. But he's very charismatic, and that struck me. On our very first International Women's Day here, we had a panel at the UIR, and we had the speakers was Nouza Scali, Nabila Mounib, Aisha Shana, may she rest in peace, and Latifa Aherara.